good afternoon, good evening. It's hard to believe, but true. It's already another Monday here on the Andy and Amanda Show. My name is Andy Kimball, and I'm here with the lovely, the talented, the extraordinarily gifted, the knowledgeable, the almighty, the beautiful, who am I talking about here?
Hang on, I'm just looking around the room to find out.
I'm looking. I'm looking and looking and thinking, what the hell? We have Amanda Love over there in the UK. You know, we're live.
Hello, my darling.
Hello,
and hello, listeners.
Yeah, to hello our listeners from around the world here on the Andy and Amanda Show. It's another Monday, and I can't believe being a Monday that, yes, again, for the second Monday in a row, we got on here together at the same time without any technical glitches thus far, so far.
I know, right? I'm actually amazed, but, I'm not going to hold my breath because, anything could happen. So, I'm just going to keep positive thinking. It's all going to go smooth. Everything's fine.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it's good. It's very good to hook up with you again here on, we look forward to this time, these shows every week so much. And of course,
although she does have a very nice figure.
She does indeed, my co-host.
Thank you.
Yes.
So sweet, Andy. So sweet.
Yes.
Have a lovely weekend.
It's. Oh yes. Very nice. Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, it was very, very pleasant, my darling. Thank you. Apart from this greyness, we got more grey weather again. It's like, where's the sunshine gone? I was missing it.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. It's been, every day here in Southern California is a beautiful sunny day. It gets down by the beach side. It gets kind of cooler and little what they call June gloom is hitting us, which is because the marine layer, it's like this layer of fog because the ocean's cooler and the warmer air, and it creates the fog, and then it rolls inland for a couple of miles, and it's kind of gray and cooler down there. But it's still very comfortable, very comfortable. But here where we are. Just east of there, it's beautiful sunny every single day. It's gorgeous. You wake up every day, and I guess that's why so many people come out and move to Southern California, and California in general, I guess, but Southern California, of course. I think the weather has a lot to do with it, and the opportunity that one gets here in that weather. It's a pretty cool place. We were talking about it yesterday. I don't remember who I was talking about it with. I remember.
Yeah.
I may have been talking about it with myself.
Oh, well, that's always a good thing, right? So people argue with that. Is that person talking to themselves? They must be mad. I talk to myself, I think it's normal. I'm sure a psychologist would disagree, but...
So what's going on over there? What's been happening? What's new?
Oh, my
your neck of the
darling,
woods?
My darling. There's lots going on with COVID's everywhere again. All over the news again. It's just jumped high. They were saying, this was going back to Friday, that they had an estimated 119,000 people, up from 110,000 people now positive for the virus, and the majority of that is the Delta one. So it's not looking very good, and the cases were passing something like 10,000 a day, or something like that. It's crazy, and now Wales are warning of a third wave as well. So there's been so much going on with that. Lockdown has officially been delayed till the 19th of July.
Of this year, right?
Yes, of this year, yes. Thank God this year. If it was next year, I'd be going out of my mind, I think. There'd be protests everywhere. People burning things, cars and all sorts. But no, it's crazy. And there was protests today, I think they were saying.
Really?
Yeah, there was protests because officially we were supposed to be coming out of lockdown. So people were protesting in London, and they were getting arrested. Because they were causing trouble, saying that we should be out of lockdown already. We have the right to not wear masks or not have the vaccines and things like that. So it's been a little chaotic, and people are just they're kicking off. They've had enough, Andy. They've really had enough. And, venues are complaining as well because they're still at half capacity, not being able to open to full capacity. Soccer players have been testing positive for COVID. It's all been very, very crazy. So, we're monitoring that at the moment and seeing how that goes. But they're saying that winter is going to look bleak as well because we'll have the flu coming back in as well as COVID. So we need to be prepared for that. And they're looking into a third vaccination.
Really?
And, a decision is going to be made about a booster vaccine in the next few weeks. And so it's in trial stage at the moment. But they're operating on very tight timelines, and the results of that should be available by the end of August. And they want to bring that in as quickly as possible because of everything that's going on with the Delta variant. So we shall see how that goes, darling.
People have been talking here about a booster as well. Especially when when news came out a couple months ago when they're saying, hey, kind of hit sub-headline, so to speak, was, whoa, the vaccines last 6 months. And I never thought they expired. I thought that was, what do you mean 6 months? Oh, yeah, it was thought to last 3 months, now it lasts 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm like, but then at the same time, there was no talk of a booster. It was like, just get your vaccine, get your first dose before J&J came out, get your first dose, and then your second dose was 3 to whatever weeks later. And that's all you heard. And then suddenly, oh, yeah, the last 6 months, and then, okay, well, what happened after that? And I guess the thinking is if you get that number of population up who've been inoculated up in that 70% region or above, then you really kind of don't have to worry about it. Really, that will kind of diminish the virus by itself with that herd immunity thing. Here states are making really terrific leaps and bounds in vaccinating their residents against COVID-19, but the ones that are not may soon be contending with even a more transmissible variant, which is that what we've been talking about here is that what do you call it? The Delta variant. What do you call it again there? But states here like in the South, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and even up north like Wyoming, they fully vaccinated less than 35% of residents. When you take a state like where I am in California, we're way over 70%. What is the resistance? And I remember we talked last week when we had a guest on the show. We were talking about the, how benign this the vaccine is to your body, aside from doing what it's supposed to do. And you wonder what the hesitation is, and you wonder, is the hesitation more of the beating of the chest saying I have the right not to get a vaccine, or is it fear of what the vaccine could potentially do downstream since it's this new type of technology and it hasn't really gone through the full FDA protocol, so to speak? Emergency use authorizations have to be dictated for this thing to go into play, and are the people fearful of what does that mean? And again, you've been vaccinated. You had a little bit of a reaction, but you're fine. Everybody's fine. I'm fine. My whole family, the world, everybody's good. We're all good. But and I don't wear a mask anymore. No more mask. Done.
That's amazing. I just can't imagine not having a mask when going into a
store.
Go to
food stores, restaurants, clothes stores, walking around. I don't have a mask anymore. No more. And I think what's going on now with when we're starting to hear that number of the Delta variant and how more transmissible that is, and people say, what do you mean more transmissible? What does that mean? More? Well, the spike protein, the actual protein itself. I know we've all probably seen a little cartoon. What do you call it? Cartoon. Spit it out. It is Monday. Cartoon. Animation or little drawings of this, blown up microscopic little protein cell. It's got these little spikes, but if you were to blow it up to, let's say, human size, you flick it with your finger and it would dislodge from wherever it was attached to. So it's not very weak, and therefore in order for one to become affected by the virus itself that this protein creates, you'd have to get exposed to quite a few of these cells. right? Well, the Delta variant has larger, more effective spikes. So when it adheres to something, it doesn't just flick off; it stays, and therefore you need fewer of them to become affected by them.
Right. Yes.
So the virus cell, the actual what creates SARS, what creates this whole thing, is figuring a way around, figuring as it migrates, it's figuring a way. How can I survive? What can I do to survive? So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's why it is more transmissible, because it requires fewer of them to become affected by the virus it creates. So that's the deal, What are we, more than 500 days now and 600,000 deaths since the first person in the United States was reported to have died from COVID-19?
Yeah.
And the vaccines have been the key to reopening of the country safely and containing all of the variants, many of which are like the Delta variant, being more transmissible. And I think what's going on is people are just done. They want to pretend like this thing never happened. It's over. We're done with this thing. Let's move on with our life. Well, 601,000 some people lost their lives from this thing in the United States, and there's still 333 million Americans here in the United States that are ready to just say, fuck it. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah. I think, that's the state here as well. Everybody's just fed up now. They want their lives back to normal. We've had enough. We've seen too many grey days here, and we just want that sunshine again. And I'm not just talking about the weather. So, it's been quite depressing, very depressing. And you can see it on people's faces when they're walking around, and you feel it from them as well. You pass people in the street and you can feel that they've had enough. But I mean, there's a publishing company called Bloomsbury, and they're the people who printed the Harry Potter books, and they're making sure that their staff have to be vaccinated in order to return to work. So I think, and that's the case for care home workers as well in England are going to be required that as well, having both vaccinations, or they risk losing their jobs. So I think that's going to be a mandatory thing before long across the whole of the UK, that you have to be vaccinated in order to return to work and have some sort of normality in life again, whether that's going to venues or whatever that may be, and travel, no doubt, as well. So it's interesting seeing that unfolded and playing out. And they're concerned, obviously, because not everybody feels safe having the vaccination, and that's the trouble that a lot of these companies are going to face, and they need to be careful with that in terms of the decisions they make and the legal implications that could offer, because obviously, you get into a legal contract with your employer or employee, and so there's certain implications, right? There's very real dangers that they've got to be careful of. So introducing something like, you can't come back to work until you've had a vaccination could be quite a tricky situation and could end up in court. So, yeah, I mean, it's this minefield.
Yeah, here they're saying as many in North America have come to seeing the news, and you can't kind of escape it. Corporations are looking for the employees to come back to work, and this work from home has actually shown to be as productive in many scenarios as people going to the office in terms of productivity a business gets from their employees. And some businesses are saying, okay, what we're going to do when we go back, you come to work 3 days a week, you can work 3 days a week at home, or some combination of that. You can work a couple of days at home, a few days at home. You can work a few days at the office. And people are resisting going back to work. They're saying, you know what, I'm kind of liking just working from home. We're at my computer, doing what I do, making my calls or whatever I do. cooking up,
absolutely,
cooking whatever they cook. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever they do. And of course, people staying at home. We're picking up countries. Last week we announced we've got several new countries coming on board, and our rating has increased. And we're it's always good.
They said it had a D- rating from the Better Business Bureau. I said that's not true. It had an A.
We have an A. Yeah, it's very true.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Don. Let's go ahead and
Thank you very much.
Join us on the show here from time to time.
I know he loves to join us. Bless him. He likes to be heard and stick out. We thank you, Donald, for your intrusion.
we do. As many people. Did you ever hear of TikTok, right? TikTok.
Of course. Yeah.
We had a fun time with TikTok on the little pre-record, little 20-minute show we put out on Friday just to get something out there because we couldn't, our schedules were, as we know, kind of crazy for Friday as it turned out, so we couldn't join our audience with a live show. We put together this little pre-record thing and had some fun with that because
absolutely,
it's kind of cool to hear what people are saying, even sitting here, we're because we have a radio show. We're on the internet. We have a show. It goes around the world, and people do listen to us. We have thousands of listeners and followers all around the world, especially in the UK and Mexico and Canada and the United States. Thousands. You hear the Andy and Amanda Show, and much more significant media than our little thing, obviously in the news. But what matters is what people say and what people think, and you kind of gets lost. That our individual messages get lost, and it's kind of cool. And I picked up some more clips, kind of expanding upon what we did on Friday's little pre-recorded show. And I think what we might do is inject this little episode of what the people say more often. And I want to play a little bit more of that. This is just your average citizens, what people are saying. Let's take a listen.
So Clinton, Obama, President Biden. Lumber prices today dropping 40%. Market at an all-time high. Gas prices are now going down. Just went to get gas. Our gas dropped 20%. So all three of the last Democrat presidents have pulled us out of Reagan's failed trickle-down economy, which didn't work. GW, greatest collapse in modern history, 9/15/08, until now. Trump, who lied, golfed, tweeted, rallied, blamed, and told you he was the greatest. That's all you could do. Words don't mean shit. It's all about action. And now we're seeing it. Why you keep voting for these stupid fucking Republicans? We have no idea. None. They've lied to you, said that the Democrats, since Carter, were going to take your guns. I still have my guns. Stop voting for these fucking idiots. Stop destroying our economy. Democrats always save the day.
Carter is handed a fucked up economy, and he can't do anything to pull us out of it, so he hands Reagan a fucked up economy. Reagan's idea is to lower taxes on the upper class, and the result is massive deficit, massive debt, massive inflation. He ends up having to raise taxes 14 times in 8 years and can't balance the budget. He hands it over to Poppy Bush, who doesn't do anything in 4 years, who hands it over to Clinton, who then works for the Republican Congress, creates a budget that fucking balances the budget and produces a surplus for 6 fucking years, oversees the creation of 22 million jobs in 8 years, hands that over to W, who then lowers taxes, the Bush tax cuts, and it becomes the first president in American history to lower taxes while going to war. The end result, the worst recession since the Great Depression, and 750,000 jobs a month being lost. And to Obama, turns us around, saves us from that recession, saves the auto industry, oversees the longest private sector job growth streak in American history, cuts government spending by 2/3, has unemployment, doubles the stock market, enter Trump. He creates fewer jobs in the first 3 years than ignores the pandemic and fucking tanks the entire economy.
But it worked because poorly educated white men...
Wow. That was very honest.
It really... Definitely, it puts things in such perspective. I thought that, some of these folks get, you just kind of listen, and it's like a quick time capsule, boom, 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 and it's all very accurate and it's also true, and we still have CNN last night did an incredible special program tracing the history of the insurrection, what led up to it, what happened during it, with incredibly candid interviews and video footage. It was very well done. It was incredible. Just kind of brought you back to, and to face what we as Americans did to our country. These are patriots that raided our Capitol building on January 6th, and 5 people died. And these are Americans. They're waving Confederate flags and Trump flags, and they're throwing American flags to the ground and replacing it with the Trump flag. And the truth is what we just heard. The truth is what we just heard.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. And now that Trump is much closer to becoming, potentially, let's call it what it is. He's most likely going to be indicted, or his organization is going to be indicted criminally. I thought, I don't see how that's not going to happen.
Right.
And things are doing so much better here, Amanda. You just living here in America.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe, or maybe you would believe, because I know what you say here. The lockdowns in July, and you don't know, and people are getting sick of it, and there's they want it to go away already, and under the administration we have, especially Biden had this incredible trip overseas, his first trip, a meeting with Putin and the G7, and the meeting with the Queen there, and Boris. Boris.
Just Boris.
Yeah, Boris. The boss man over there, Prime Minister Johnson. Yeah, Johnson.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm not going to say the name. You know what I was going to call him. I didn't do it. You see how I hesitated? Did you catch that?
I love it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's funny actually because a lot of people were blaming the whole G7 summit for COVID cases rising in Cornwall because, of course, that's where the setting took place. But the rise in cases there started like 3 or 4 days before the actual event. And it was predicted that cases were going to go up all over the UK anyway, and they increased dramatically after the G7 summit. So, everybody tested negative, and they made sure they did a lot of tests whilst there to make sure that everybody was safe. And so they weren't to blame for these COVID cases rising. It was happening anyway. But it's funny how everybody attacks Number 10 and Boris about any situation happening. When things have already been mentioned and pre-warned that these things could happen. But, of course, they get all these rocks and stones thrown at them when something happens or spikes. So it must be annoying for Boris, but he's been under attack with so much regarding things that have gone on with COVID. And he's been all over the headlines with various things that he's doing wrong and things that's been said in the past and actions he could have taken and so on. So I kind of feel for his situation right now. And, I have my ups and downs with how I feel about Boris and what he's doing. I think there's some things he could have done differently. But we're getting through this. That's the main thing. It could have been a lot worse. But,
oh, yes, it surely could have.
That means they can do anything they want.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I'm breathing a whole lot easier here. And that's my question. Again, our number here, I guess we should have said that on the onset of the show. If anybody wants to join us at any time and talk about what you like to talk about, what's affecting you, what are your issues, concerns, ideas, thoughts, we want to hear it all. And feel free to join us at 515-605-9888 and dial 1 first internationally, of course, or just email the show at AndyandAmandaShow@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Even if you just want to shout out your name to say that you're listening to the show, we can give you a shout out and say, hey, and thank you for listening. Send us an email or call in, whatever you want to do. We want to hear from you. Say, hey.
Yeah. We definitely do because, most people
I don't know anything about what you're even talking about.
Thank you. Well, you don't have to.
I hear that from people. I hear that, I start talking and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. This is the way it is.
Yeah. My goodness. Oh, there was these 2 girls British
What?
girls who, like twin sisters who went to Mexico recently. I don't know if you heard about this. And they went to a lagoon near Porto Escondido. I think that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me, anybody listening who knows how to pronounce that properly. So they were told it was safe to go into the water and have a swim and everything. So they did. They went in, and little did they know there was a crocodile waiting for them, and the one girl got attacked. But her sister was so brave. She literally jumped on this crocodile and started punching it in the snout until it released her sister. Yes, how brave. So, her sister was in a coma, but luckily now she's out of a coma. She's breathing on her own. She's doing better. But bravo to her sister. That is...
Yeah, really.
Wow.
You bet.
When you're faced with that, what a situation.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Man. How old were the girls?
Right?
How old were they? Do you know how old they were?
28. 28 years old. So that's amazing. You often think to yourself, don't you, if you were presented with a situation like that, how would I respond?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. More power to you. Yes, definitely.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, yeah.
Wow. Crocodiles. Oh, my gosh.
They are scary.
Man. Anyway, that's spooky. That's spooky.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that she's doing all right.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's been all over the TV. Bless her.
Yeah, here in America, we have, I think, you go down to Louisiana, parts of Florida, Central Florida, Okeechobee. You hear about it, a death, crocodile deaths from time to time, and they're dangerous animals. You don't mess. They're. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. They I personally, when I look at them, I think not a chance. I wouldn't even attempt to go in any water or near anywhere that had a crocodile. It's just their mouth is so big and their teeth are so big. It's like no, sorry. They can take you under with one bite and capsize you. Well, tell me about this. Speaking of traveling to Mexico from there, how travel in general? Do you hear anything about people traveling and getting about more in the UK in your area of the world? As far as I know, there has been people traveling to different countries for holidays, but other countries, of course, were suddenly becoming high with COVID rates. So the UK was responding, okay, well, in that case, we're turning these countries into a red alert country. Therefore, any British people that were abroad were like panicking and trying to get back in time, because what our government was doing was saying, okay, so now this country has been made into a red listed country. As soon as the British residents come back from that country, you've got to go straight into quarantine. And of course, as we've discussed in the past, that's quite a pricey situation, because you've got to check yourself into the hotel, which is over, I think, £1,700 to do. That's a lot of money when you've just gone away and, spent your holiday money, and then you suddenly got to come back to the UK and spend another $1,700 just to quarantine. That's crazy. So, yeah, people were panicking recently with one country they went to, and everybody was trying to get flights to get back as quickly as possible as soon as our government made the announcement. So there's been a bit of chaos with that, and Boris was saying, since we're delaying this lockdown until the 19th of July, that international travel is going to be tricky at the moment, because they just don't want anybody bringing anything further back into the UK. We can't afford it at this point. It's such a risk. So we shall see what kind of restrictions are going to be in place with that. And I'm sure he's going to reveal more about it. Yeah, here we're seeing a lot more people getting out and traveling, and whether it be by car or plane, but getting and airports are starting to get jammed up and get busy again. People traveling, and more flights are becoming full. But again, you're seeing the major airlines being confronted with the same aspect of work phobia or going to the office as other businesses are. American Airlines is canceling hundreds of flights through at least mid-July as the company strives to maintain some type of service in an ever increasing travel demand. And you're seeing the airline employees, like anybody else, also want to continue working at home. Your pilots, your flight attendants, they want to work from home. They want to fly. A flight attendant wants to, serve their coffee and make their announcements from the living room. They don't want to go to work. Pilots want to fly the planes from home. Right. Anyway, they don't want to go. The airline employees want to work from home too. What makes them any different?
Because I can just see the pilot sat home, feet up on the sofa, remote controlling his plane.
Remote control. Hey, I got news for you. That technology is there. Would you get on a plane with no pilot? But the technology is actually there.
No.
I mean, that technology has been there for a long time. Even though it's been quite a while since I made a living flying airplanes. But when I did, we had autopilot systems that could guide an airplane from point of departure to point of arrival all by themselves. And you manage the systems, you manage the flight, the airplane, but it's gear up autopilot on and auto throttle and so forth. You set the throttle detent, the airplane knows what speed to take off and climbs and turns on course and takes the road map across the sky wherever it's going to go all by itself and can land on the center line of a runway at any destination that's programmed for it to do so. And that technology is there.
That's an interesting situation, though, isn't it, and question to ask, because, okay, if that was seriously presented to somebody, what would you do if you had no pilot on the plane? Would you still get on that plane? When you bring up the facts that you just brought up with the fact, the plane does fly by itself anyway, majority of the time. Yes, you have got a human there to override things should there be issues. I think that's a great safety knowing that. But I guess, balancing that up, and knowing it was controlled or overridden from a distance, would that still be a factor for people? Would they still be scared of getting on that plane if there was no human pilot present?
Well, I think what you're going to see looking ahead, and I don't know this to be a fact, of course, this is just a presumption, is that right now you have a captain and a first officer. And the workload is, you have a monitoring pilot and a flying pilot. Even though the flying pilot's literally not flying, they're operating the autopilot system, and the other pilot's talking to air traffic controllers or communicating with air traffic controllers in one way or another. But I think what you're going to see down the road is single pilot operations. Where you have a one person in command of the movement of the aircraft, who's really not going to do a whole lot. The airplane outside maybe taxi for takeoff and intervene as necessary by or dictated by air traffic control. And even right now, the airplanes, when they're flying across the sky, the airplanes themselves, the computer systems on the airplanes are communicating with each other. One computer says to the other computer, "Hey, I'm here." "Oh, okay, I'm here. All right, just making sure. Okay, all right, stay separated from each other. Okay, we will." And
incredible.
I got to tell you, I did. I drove back and forth down to the beach side a few times in the past few days, and my Tesla did it all by itself, literally, changing lanes, going from one highway to the next highway, getting over in time to make that changeover, changing speeds, going to the passing lane, getting out of the passing lane, putting on the turn signal. It puts on a turn signal. Turning here, turning all by itself. And what's remarkable to me is in an airplane, you've got a tremendous amount of sky to move around it, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about on a road with hundreds of cars, thousands of cars, that these vehicles, Teslas, like the one I have, are capable of maneuvering themselves safely from point A to point B around all these cars, speeding up, slowing down, changing lanes, getting off at an interchange. Oh, my exit's coming up at a mile and a half. Better start getting over now to get off of that exit. Slowing down, putting on the turn signal when the exit comes, your turn signal goes on by, putting on the bright lights so the computer system can see if you're traveling a dark road. The bright lights go on and off by themselves. So the computer eyes can see. I mean, it's incredible.
That is incredible.
We go, and the reason why I bring this up is because we're talking about airplanes, I know, but here I am operating this car, and for some reason, and I started flying in the 70s. I was flying airplanes and started using autopilots in the 70s as well. That took the burden of actually flying the airplane away from the pilot. You're managing it, but you're not actually doing the work. The autopilot is. It's okay. And the systems became more and more advanced and started taking over more. And then they got rid of the flight engineer position, went from a 3-man crew to 2-man crew. And it all just seemed to have this logical progression. Nothing really surprised you. It was fun, like a kid with a new toy. They introduce a new system. You go to ground school and training and get trained on how these new systems work. And then you go to work and you use them. But it was all kind of, nothing was like, oh, wow, this is, But in the car, for some reason, it amazes me a whole lot more. And I also, as a boat owner, I've sailed boats that literally sail by themselves. You put up the sails, and then a computer system on the boat sails by itself, like a waypoint. Like you have GPS in your car and the plane. The boat sails from point A to point B to point C. Just course, keeps the wind in the same place. Will go anywhere you program it to go by itself. That won't change sail positions, but it'll turn. Yeah. And you just change the sail from one side of the boat to the other, however you might have to do that. But it does everything all by itself.
Yes.
You don't have to beat the wheel. And not just a sailboat, but even big power yachts, even big luxury 150-footers, whatever. All computer systems, autopilot systems are all doing everything. And the crews pretty much just monitor and manage those systems. You're not literally doing the work. And that type of technology seems to be more and more prevalent across the board of vehicles that take you, whether it be for pleasure or for business purpose, from point A to point B, whether it be a boat, plane, car. That's what's happening. That's where we're headed. It's amazing. It's amazing. It really is.
Wow. Yeah. It really is. And when you sit and think about it, this is the things that people used to dream about years ago happening. And the future is right on our doorstep, and it's going to be interesting to see how much further we're going to go with all this, Andy. I think that's the scary thing for people, because even now people are still adjusting to the idea of the technology we have. Can you imagine how much it's going to transform over the next 10 to 20 years, and how much more afraid of those things that we'll have in place people will become. And it does make people nervous, doesn't it? Change, a sudden dramatic change. Like the idea that a car could drive itself made everybody nervous. Everybody's like, no, give me the real thing. I love to have my hands on the steering wheel. You won't get me behind the car that drives itself. And now it's taken off because, they've seen how cool it is. They've seen people having more of them on the road. Thinking, okay, well, it looks safe. I'm kind of warming up to the idea. So, it's fascinating seeing that transformation and the kind of fears that we hold as a humanity about how far technology is going to take us. And I think movies and stories and books drive a lot of those fears, because they were all ideas that we had as humanity going forward years ago. And, about robots taking over the world and armies using robots to fight wars, and how those robots could possibly take on a consciousness of their own and end up, taking over the planet. And so there's also all these fantasies about technology, and some of it is coming true. It's not so much a fantasy anymore, but I mean, there's always then that space for more fear to grow and more ideas to develop, and just how far humanity will go with technology, as whether it will turn on ourselves or whether it's going to just benefit us greatly without any serious dangers there. But I think, like anything you create, there's always a serious danger of something going wrong, right? No matter what it is.
Oh, yeah. No matter what it is.
So it just depends what kind of procedures they have in place to have that control, whether they will have complete control in place to stop anything that we create.
It's like in an airplane, if you have one auto system, and if you get a message in some aircraft types, depending on manufacturer, you've got systems that tell the pilots that it thinks something's going to have an issue. Doesn't have an issue yet. It's going to have an issue. Nothing broke yet. Here's a warning that something might happen with this system. Then you take out your manual, all these pages and pages of checklists and what to do if, and you go down. One pilot reads the item, the next pilot does the item, unless one pilot needs to fly, because of something failed. The pilot has to just literally fly the airplane, and the other driver, goes through the list and does what it says. and there's memory items on many of these systems, things that you need to memorize. First you do A, B, C, D, then refer to the check, then bam, then go to read. Okay, do this, all right, done. Do this, done. Do this. But what they have is redundancy, meaning that if a system fails, then another system kicks in and takes over. So it's got a backup. It's got a backup.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
So
I find it fascinating.
It is fascinating. And we're what do we keep playing here? The human element is becoming more and more removed. And when you think about it, the human element is becoming more and more removed for our own safety, for our benefit.
Yeah.
Think about that. We're putting more and more reliability into computers, into technology, and less in people. Robots are doing surgeries now.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? How we're playing it safe so much, and in a sense, a lot of it coming from fear. Because if we're not trusting in ourselves enough, in humanity, and we're trusting more in technology than ourselves, what does that say about us and where we're heading in terms of our future, with connecting with each other, helping each other, developing a better world together? How's that going to happen if we're trusting more in that technology than each other? That's kind of sad, really, in one aspect. But in another, it has its bonuses, its positive aspects, just like anything. But building cars. Robotics building cars. Fantastic. Great. Sure, it put a lot of people out of work. That isn't a great thing, obviously. But the production rate and, the errors were minimal. And so, you have those benefits. But when we discuss something like technology actually being replacing something we can do because we just don't trust another human being to do it, that is where I think we're failing, because we should be then looking at where we're going wrong as a humanity, as a society. How can we better ourselves and support each other to better ourselves so that we have a better system in place?
Imagine you're going to get something done. I don't know, knee replacement, some type of surgery, whatever it could be. I don't know, whatever, and you've got a doctor there, and this robot, like Lost in Space, danger, warning, Robinson, danger. This robot comes up next to the doctor and says,
he's full of shit.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that. He's full of shit. And a computer, a robot, takes over, and does, okay, well, and that technology is around the corner. It's amazing. It really is. It really is amazing.
It is, and that makes me a little nervous, actually, to think about a robot doing surgery, because quite often, I mean, depending on the situation and what type of surgery it is, imagine being in a life-threatening situation, and if it wasn't for a certain judgment call from a human doctor or nurse, that they felt that intuitional moment, that light bulb moment that said, for some reason, this is probably going against everything that we know, but I need to try this method because I feel strongly that this is going to work if I make this slight adjustment, and it works and it saves somebody's life. It makes you wonder how much a robot can be programmed to have the same kind of response, whether it would be able to achieve the same kind of success in that sense, or whether it's just all done by the book, and that robot's like, I know where to cut here, I know what to inject here, I know what to do here, but doesn't have that capability of trusting that moment, that says, what about this?
And what happens if the robot,
That would be pretty. Oh, look at all these nuts and bolts on the floor. Let's clear them up.
Or what happens if the robot went out the night before? A little stupor, a little bit of a robot.
What will we do with the drunken sailor? What will we do?
What happens?
Yeah. Oh, that robot's only having a glitch. I'm just, performing a life, altering situation here, and suddenly I broke down, and now my patients died, and That's quite scary. But I don't know. I mean, it depends what kind of area that works for, right?
Yeah.
What they're doing. That's just phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal.
It is. It really is. Our technology talk here on the Andy and Amanda Show. Yes, our Monday show. Folks, again, 515-605-9888. How has technology affected your life? What has technology replaced? Something you used to do before that you don't do now because of... Well, I can't song with that one.
Yeah, we all know where we were. I think a lot of people might go straight to that, in all fairness.
Because it's machinery of some type. It's the robot.
You know what's just popped into my mind, of course, is from this direction we're taking, is that, these people that marry robots and these dolls, and because it's a lifeless piece of equipment, and it has nothing to it other than what's programmed and the aesthetic of it. But there's no real human connection in that. And instead of, again, going back to the whole robotics replacing humanity's faith in each other, instead of teaching somebody how to, have confidence in themselves, to approach another human being to try and have something real, we're turning to those things to replace something that we need, that we can only get true satisfaction from a human connection, rather than some equipment.
I just didn't want you to think I was like one of your other girls.
No.
Anyway, it's pretty incredible what's going on when you look around this world. We're going to be back on the moon within the next couple of years. We're going to be back on the moon. And you know right now, speaking of technology, on a very, very, very small scale, there's a device on the Curiosity on the Mars 2020 right now that is taking. Mars has an atmosphere, but the atmosphere is thinner than Earth's and is made up of, I think, nitrogen, hydrogen. It's it's not oxygen, right? So what this device is doing is taking the Martian atmosphere and converting it into breathable human oxygen.
Right.
So we're not going to take the entire atmosphere of Mars and convert it into oxygen. That's impossible. But what they're going to do in a very small scale is build these great big dome-like structures that with huge, to compare it to huge air conditioning systems, but they won't be air conditioning systems. Well, into effect, some will actually, but to climate control these domes. But they'll be taking... they'll be sucking the environment of Mars, putting it through these great big machines, and piping it into these big domes as breathable, sustaining life, oxygen. And they'll be growing plants, and people will be breathing, walking around on the planet. Before you know it, they'll have McDonald's, Burger King. They'll have Postmates and delivery systems. Amazon.
Nightclubs before long.
Nightclubs, disco.
Yeah. Wow.
The Bee Gees. Mm-hmm.
The Bee Gees. Staying alive. Staying alive. Oh, wow. Bee Gees. Of all the ones to pick.
But it's just incredible. I mean, it's something. Again, this show is obviously unscripted. We have no idea what we're going to talk about as we go from one show to the next. We have no idea. It's just a conversation in which you're certainly welcome to take part in. And we do know that the bulk of our audience listens to the show as though it were not a live radio show, which it is on the internet. We do broadcasts. We have a phone number. We're communicating live. We're 8,000 miles apart from each other. We've never met. And you can call in and join this conversation live as it happens and dictate what we talk about. We want to hear about what you want to talk about, really. But we do know the truth of the show, and many like it, I would assume, is that the bulk of our audience downloads and streams this show, whether it be on the Blog Talk Radio platform or whether it be in iHeartRadio or on Amazon or Apple iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Pandora, so many platforms that carry the show, and we thank all of them for doing so. But that is how most of our audience listens to the show. So they're hearing it obviously after we've done it live. But just to let you folks know, and those who are just kind of tuning into our kind of just ordinary conversation, nothing real special on this show. We're just kind of rambling on about different things that we feel like talking about. It's kind of makes this kind of cool time, really. Is that you can when we do the show live, you can actually become part of it, and we want you to do that. So, since you are listening to this as a podcast, this show is already done. When you're hearing it, you say, "Well, how do I join that conversation? When are you guys actually doing the show live?" And I'm going to tell you that as soon as I can figure that out. Anyway, so we are. Let's say, because we reach across so many time zones. So in New York East Coast time, Eastern Daylight Time, we're on noon on Mondays, which is today, and on Wednesdays and Fridays at 3 p.m. So most people know, what time it is in New York, and they know what time it is around the world where they live. For example, Amanda's in the UK, so the noon show Monday is it's at 5 p.m. In UK, and 8 p.m. No. Yes. No, the Monday show is 5.
Sorry, sweetheart. When you said noon, I was just like, okay, noon for you is like 8 p.m. for me.
Noon East Coast. Yeah, noon East Coast. Yeah, the noon show. Yeah. Again, the Monday show, only the Monday show. The Monday show's earlier. We did that kind of an experiment. We never changed back, actually, to make it more convenient for our UK audience to tune in live, and that's why we bounced this show earlier, which we might even I don't know. And I like doing it because here on Mondays, the show goes on at 9 a.m. in California, and it frees up the whole day for me. Hey, we like that. But we used to, for those of you, who are joining us subsequent to our origins, which is about 14 months ago or so, we've been doing the show. I can't believe it. Well over 300 episodes. We used to go on at 5 p.m. California time, which was like, 2 or 3 in the morning for Amanda. Amanda used to join the show at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how you did that.
Oh,
for a long time. For the longest time.
It was interesting, to say the least. I got to admit, it was quite a task, because I was having a full day of doing other things that I do with, like graphic design and music and stuff like that, and other stuff. So, of course, my day was filled, and then I was having to also prepare for the show. And then I get on the show, and then by 6 o'clock in the morning, I was ready to sleep, and then start all over again in 3 or 4 hours. So it was just, it was interesting and tiring. But, and we were a daily show for quite a while, for months. We were Monday through Fridays. We did,
every day.
Yeah. Wow, Andy, how did we do that?
How did we do
incredible.
That? My gosh.
I look back now and I think, wow, we did that.
Cause it's actually, we have a lot of fun, and this show wasn't, we just kind of having a conversation. We didn't prepare anything too specific for this particular show that we're doing right now. But a lot of times, we play these audio clips. We have a lot of fun. We're having fun now. It's always fun. Don't get me wrong. We're having fun. But and just in terms of, produce things that take a lot of time, we're doing a lot of that. These kind of funny little comical things, making light of some of the issues that are affecting all of us. We like to have some laughs and, don't take ourselves so seriously all the time, which is kind of fun. Lighten things up a bit, you know what I mean? And especially during COVID. It was a tremendous amount of work to pull the show off and to do a show, whether it be a radio show or a television show. Folks, let me tell you something. It's work. It takes time to do these things, and we have thousands of listeners around the world that tune in and listen to our show, and we kind of do it to attempt to stir up some thought, to lighten things up, to make a difference. And in the very short, speaking of all of that and how much work it really is to do this, we're going to be asking for your support to continue to promote what we're doing, expand what we're doing, and increase the reach of what we're doing. So what we're going to do, and you'll hear about it soon, is much like any other public broadcasting network does, and we are show for the people, by the people, we're going to ask for your support. How'd I end up talking about that? Anyway.
But it's important, yeah, definitely. Because like we said, Andy just said that, this show is about what we feel as society, humanity, about the problems in the world and the things we're all passionate about, the things that we all have on our minds. And we love to speak about them, whether we're right or not. It's just our opinion and how we can transform the world and move forward. So we love the fact that we can help people with what we're sharing, and possibly you guys help us with what you want to share with us and joining in the show. And we want to take it forward with that and start making some real changes. And if you enjoy being part of it, that's amazing, and you enjoy listening to us, that's amazing too. And if you could possibly at some point end up supporting us in some way, that would be even more amazing, and it would make us very grateful, and we can achieve big and great things together. And
because our numbers,
this show goes.
We don't do anything. We grab our microphones. We do a lot of prep work to get into the show a lot of times. I mean, it is unscripted. There's no real agenda unless something earth-shattering happens in the news that we have to, generate continued discussion and get you involved in those discussions, however we do it. Of course, then we do that. But a lot of times we have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. So, we've done music, we've done comedy, we've done sports, I don't think we've talked too much about the weather. I was going to say news, sports, weather. We have a little bit, but
not in my window right now.
And we've talked a lot about relationships and love and sex and romance and gender ID and all perspectives in the news and the world from all sorts of walks of life and religions and backgrounds and ethnicities and races and we've really done, when you think about the time that we've been doing the show, we covered a lot of ground. I mean, a whole lot.
And the thing is, we get real about it as well, don't we, Andy? We're not like trying to script something and trying to fluff around the edges. We're very honest with what we share and our opinions, and try to see all sides of the situation. Whereas a lot of dedicated shows or podcasts or discussions can be very biased and don't really get to the point. The real talk of it all, and I think we do pretty well at discussing those things.
And we've had a variety of terrific guests on the show. I mean, from all walks of life, from movie producers and directors and famous actors to sports figures and motivational speakers and relatives of famous people, and get inside scoop of the news in the world from all sorts of perspectives from various experts in their fields, and we have a lot of fun doing it. We've shared a lot of laughs in the process, and that's kind of what we're doing. People have called us Howard Stern on steroids at times. I wouldn't go that far. But in some respects, I understand that, because there are times when we've got a little raunchy, and that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and people enjoy this, and we hope that you're enjoying it. And there are also maybe shows where people kind of tune into the conversation and say, "Nah, not this episode. I don't really, it doesn't really interest me this time." And they come back on and do it later. But we're going to be asking, and again, we have thousands of listeners around the world, which is auto-generated. We've done nothing to do it. Very, very little. We have a podcast that goes out. However that works, however that generates, however that manifests an audience, that's how it works. We don't know how it works, quite honestly. We don't know what we're doing here. But anyway, but we have thousands of listeners around the world, 22 countries, right? We want to grow that audience. We want to get the show on real radio or on Sirius satellite radio, because we see what we're doing. We see what a difference we are making, and we're providing entertainment. When it comes right down to it, this is entertainment. It's entertainment for us too, and people are tuning in. We have regular listeners on the show, and we're going to ask for your support. We're going to ask for people, quite honestly, to contribute lousy $5 a month. What's a cup of Starbucks cost you a day? Whatever. We're going to ask for $5 a month on a Patreon account, and we're going to start talking about what that Patreon account is. Maybe as early as the Wednesday show. Again, the Wednesday show is going to be heard 8 p.m. in the UK, at 5 p.m. in New York, and at 3 p.m. in New York. God, Andy, geez, 3 p.m. New York time, 8 p.m. UK time, noon in Pacific time. That's where we're going to be heard on a Wednesday and Friday, and we look forward to hearing from you. Then, Amanda, take us on home.
Okay, on behalf of my wonderful co-host Andy Kimball in California, Hollywood, and myself, Amanda Love, here in the UK, thank you so much again for joining us for another show. Let's start this week off right. Let's have fun. Let's get this week sorted. Join us again on Wednesday for some more discussion on who knows what. And take care of yourselves. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
All the best, folks. See you on Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
Now don't you leave